Right now, we're going to talk about lacrosse. The IHSA just recently made lacrosse a sanctioned sport in the state of Illinois. With me right now, I have our good friend Matt Parker, who is the head of all the athletic programs at the RPS 205 school district. And Matt, first of all, it's a sport that is really growing. They've added a lot of college teams. Give us your thoughts on lacrosse, because I know you've probably done a little homework on this.
Well, I'm very familiar with lacrosse growing up in New England. A lot of high schools in that area have lacrosse instead of football, or have lacrosse and football. And so growing up, I had a lot of friends who played lacrosse, had lacrosse at my high school, had lacrosse at the school I went to for undergraduate, and knew a lot of lacrosse players, went to a lot of the games. It's a terrific sport. Really enjoyed watching it over the years, and so I'm very familiar with it. And I think it's terrific. Anytime a sport's added to the IHSA, means that the interest has been generated throughout the state. In this particular case, it's fairly concentrated to the suburbs of Chicago, but the interest is growing, and I think it certainly helps that there's a lot of lacrosse played just north of us in Wisconsin. But I think it's great to add another opportunity for kids, especially with the sport growing at the college level and more scholarships being offered.
You had some success with bringing boys volleyball into the Stateline area when you had the 4 teams from the RPS 205 do that, and now it's kind of grown into a really great sport here in the Stateline. And also you have like the girls co-op, where the 4 schools co-op for girls golf. Has some of that, will that influence some of your thoughts as you go looking at this process of lacrosse?
Well, we're always open for exploring new opportunities for kids. I think we've demonstrated that with our growth with middle school sports and some additional offerings at the elementary schools, and certainly a great example is boys volleyball. So yes, the answer is yes. We actually had a discussion about lacrosse yesterday in our high school athletic director meeting with my Rockford Public School athletic directors. And anytime some new opportunities come onto the radar, we're certainly going to explore them and weigh out the pros and cons, and do interest surveys, and see what kind of interest there is regionally and within our school district, to see if there's a rationale to explore more in depth.
Fox Valley Conference, most of their schools are already fielding teams, Hampshire, Huntley, and those schools in that area. Would that help a little bit to have at least some teams in the general area that you don't have to drive all the way into the suburbs?
Yeah, absolutely. There's only so many games that you can play out of state. You need to get enough in-state games to be an IHSA qualifier. And so having those schools close by to get in some of those games certainly helps. Obviously, if a majority of your games are driving 2 hours into the suburbs or more, certainly on the north side of Chicago is going to take a bit longer. The cost of transportation and meals and things like that certainly comes more into play when it comes to looking at a sport like lacrosse, where that most of the teams are very concentrated in those areas just outside of Chicago.
And it's not a sport that's not known in our area. Several years ago, Belvedere Co-op had a team, and also the Rockford Razorbacks are in town. Do you think that helps a little bit, since the interest has already started maybe at a grassroots level?
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, there's folks in the community. We had a few meetings a couple years back, gauging the interest of high school lacrosse, and there were many people there who had played at a very high level or had an interest in lacrosse. Certainly, some of the folks who were instrumental in spearheading the lacrosse program in Belvedere. So, yeah, it definitely helps that there are people in the community who understand the sport, who understand the pros and cons, the opportunities after high school, the costs, what additions need to be made to existing fields, equipment, etc. So that with the teams close by in Hampshire and Fox Valley, as well as having local expertise, certainly helps when doing research and when creating a rationale to add a new sport.
And quickly before I let you go, I know that a lot of colleges around the country, both in boys and girls, have added lacrosse teams at a real high number. It's one of the fastest growing sports in college sports. That's also something that would help out in getting kids to that next step in college, maybe where they wouldn't have gone. And is that a factor you think as well?
Yeah, we want to provide as many opportunities for our student athletes, students across the board, to potentially earn a scholarship, full scholarship, partial scholarship, at the college level. College and university tuition is very expensive, and if there's a vehicle like lacrosse or any other co-curricular activity who is going to provide that opportunity for our students, we certainly feel good about it. It's part of our core mission to provide as many opportunities as possible. So, looking at all of the sports that we offer, much like an Olympic committee, there are some who are very hot and very popular. They're up and coming. Certainly boys volleyball for us has become very popular. The numbers are phenomenal, and from what I understand, many schools in the area who are participating, it's the same situation. And so we're constantly assessing, are there sports that we should phase out? Are there sports that we should phase in? Should we add, an additional sport like lacrosse? Is there going to be enough interest? Is it going to provide more opportunity for kids? So it definitely falls in line with our core mission, and also the assessment we're doing on a regular basis regarding all of our offerings district-wide.
Well, thanks, Matt, for taking time. It's good to have a guy from the East Coast that understands lacrosse a little bit. When I say Jim Brown from Syracuse and the Gate brothers from Syracuse, you know those names, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. They're fun to watch. If you go to YouTube and you look up some of those guys, it's the athleticism and some of the things they do on the lacrosse field it's just really phenomenal when you think about all the working parts, the coordination to do what those guys do in the sport and it's real fast moving and exciting. And so anybody who's interested, check out those names on YouTube.
And if they're interested in Rockford, they can drop you a line too at Rockford schools, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm more than happy to talk to anybody at any time about any topic, and certainly would be more than happy to talk about lacrosse with folks in the community as we have in the past.
Well, Matt, thanks so much for taking time, and good luck, and congratulations on the Rockford school system doing such a great job with high school athletics.
Hey, thanks, Dave. Keep up the great work. We certainly appreciate all you're doing.
We've been talking to Matt Parker, the Director of Athletics for the Rockford Public Schools. You're listening to StatelineSportsHub.com.